You think you know automotive failures, but wait until you hear about the German supercar that cost over $100 million to develop and sold fewer units than a local car dealership moves in a month, or the British engineering masterpiece that was faster than Ferrari but couldn't find buyers because of electrical gremlins that made ownership a nightmare. These aren't just commercial disappointments. They're automotive tragedies that had everything needed to become legends, but failed so spectacularly that their stories will make you question everything about the car business. The automotive graveyard is littered with brilliant machines that should have dominated showrooms and racetracks worldwide. Instead, they became expensive lessons in how perfect engineering means absolutely nothing without perfect timing, marketing, and execution. We're talking about cars that outperformed their famous rivals in every measurable way. Cars that pioneered technologies we consider standard today. Cars that professional racing drivers bought for their personal collections, but somehow couldn't convince regular buyers to sign on the dotted line. These failures weren't accidents or oversights. They were calculated risks taken by some of the world's most prestigious manufacturers, backed by unlimited budgets and engineering talent that most companies can only dream of. Yet they crashed and burned in ways that destroyed careers, bankrupted divisions, and left automotive executives wondering what went so catastrophically wrong. If you want to discover why some of the most incredible supercars ever built died horrible commercial deaths despite being engineering marvels, buckle up, because these stories of squandered potential will leave you speechless. Starting with possibly the most heartbreaking failure in supercar history, the Jaguar XJ220 represents everything that can go wrong when perfect engineering meets imperfect timing. This should have been Britain's definitive answer to Ferrari and Lamborghini. The car that proved British engineering could create the world's fastest production vehicle while maintaining the elegance and sophistication that made Jaguar legendary. When Jaguar revealed the XJ220 concept at the 1988 Birmingham Motor Show, automotive journalists completely lost their minds. Here was a car promising a 220 mph top speed with stunning design, racing pedigree, and engineering credentials that looked absolutely unstoppable. The concept featured everything supercar buyers craved: a naturally aspirated V12 engine, all-wheel drive capability, and proportions that made contemporary supercars look dated. The production version that arrived 4 years later delivered on almost every performance promise. It was genuinely faster than contemporary Ferraris, handled better than most established supercars, and featured advanced engineering that wouldn't look outdated today. Professional test drivers praised its capabilities, and when everything worked properly, it was arguably the best supercar of its entire era. Racing versions dominated international competition, proving the underlying engineering was absolutely sound. But none of that technical excellence mattered, because Jaguar managed to anger every potential customer before the car even reached showrooms. The controversy started with what buyers considered a massive bait-and-switch that destroyed confidence in the entire project. The concept had featured a naturally aspirated V12 engine and sophisticated all-wheel drive system, exactly what supercar buyers expected from Jaguar's flagship model. The production car arrived with a twin-turbo V6 engine and rear-wheel drive only. Even though the V6 was actually faster, more fuel-efficient, and significantly more advanced than the originally promised V12, customers who'd paid substantial deposits felt completely deceived. They'd ordered one car and received something fundamentally different, regardless of whether the changes represented technical improvements. But the real commercial killer was timing that couldn't have been worse if Jaguar had planned it deliberately. The XJ220 launched in 1992, right into the deepest global recession in decades that devastated the luxury car market completely. The £403,000 price tag became impossible to justify when similar performance could be found elsewhere for half the money, and potential buyers were more concerned about keeping their businesses afloat than adding exotic cars to their collections. Legal battles erupted across multiple countries when customers tried cancelling their orders, claiming Jaguar had fundamentally changed the product they'd agreed to purchase. The company won most court cases on technical grounds, but the reputation damage was absolutely catastrophic. Automotive media coverage focused more on the legal controversies than the car's exceptional capabilities. creating a perception that the XJ220 was somehow flawed or problematic. Production ended after just 274 units instead of the originally planned 1,500, making it one of the most spectacular commercial failures in automotive history. Today, surviving XJ220 are incredibly valuable collector's items, proving the car itself was brilliant, but the commercial execution was disastrously wrong. The automotive world learned that even perfect engineering can't overcome terrible timing and customer relations disasters. The Honda NSX-R represents perhaps the most tragic irony in modern automotive history. Honda's engineers created what many professional drivers still consider the perfect sports car, then watched it fail commercially because it was literally too good for its own market segment. The original NSX had already revolutionized the supercar world by proving that everyday reliability and genuine supercar performance could coexist in the same vehicle without compromise. The NSX-R took this revolutionary concept to absolute extremes, removing creature comforts, adding track-focused suspension, and creating what professional racing drivers considered the ultimate driving machine. Every component was optimized for pure performance, from the lightweight seats to the precisely calibrated chassis dynamics that made the car respond to driver inputs with supernatural precision. Here's where Honda's engineering logic completely backfired in the marketplace. They positioned the NSX-R as a hardcore track weapon, but priced it like a luxury Grand Tourer, creating confusion about what the car actually represented. In Japan, it cost significantly more than a Ferrari 360 Modena, but lacked the prestige, drama, and exclusivity that traditionally justified Ferrari's premium pricing strategy. European buyers could purchase more emotionally engaging supercars for similar money, while American buyers never even got the opportunity to experience what they were missing. Honda's decision to keep the NSX-R out of the US market eliminated their largest potential customer base and reinforced perceptions that the car was somehow not worthy of global distribution. The car's capabilities were genuinely extraordinary by any objective measure. Professional racing drivers bought NSX-Rs as their personal transportation because they offered legitimate supercar performance with Honda's legendary reliability and build quality. The handling was so precisely calibrated that automotive magazines used NSX-Rs as benchmarks when testing other supercars, praising its ability to communicate with drivers in ways that more expensive alternatives simply couldn't match. But these technical qualities meant absolutely nothing to showroom buyers who wanted drama, exclusivity, and bragging rights over clinical perfection. The NSX-R delivered none of the emotional theater that supercar buyers typically craved. It was fast, precise, and reliable, but it wasn't exciting or exclusive enough to justify its premium pricing in an increasingly competitive market. Marketing efforts were practically non-existent across all markets. Honda treated the NSX-R as a low-volume special edition rather than a flagship product that deserved proper promotion and positioning. Without adequate marketing support, potential buyers never understood what made it special compared to the standard NSX, or why they should pay significantly more for what appeared to be minor modifications. The production numbers tell the devastating commercial story. Only 482 NSX-Rs were built across all generations and markets, making it one of the rarest performance cars ever produced by a major manufacturer. Today, pristine examples sell for more than most new supercars, proving the market eventually recognized their exceptional qualities. But this appreciation came decades too late to save the model or influence Honda's future product decisions. Moving to a failure that perfectly embodies the struggles of British automotive engineering, the Lotus Esprit V8 had credentials that should have guaranteed supercar success in any rational marketplace. It featured Lotus's legendary chassis engineering expertise, stunning Giugiaro styling updated for the 1992nd, and a twin-turbocharged V8 engine producing genuine supercar performance that could embarrass much more expensive Italian alternatives. On paper, the Esprit V8 matched or exceeded anything from Ferrari or Lamborghini in terms of raw performance, handling precision, and engineering sophistication. Professional automotive journalists consistently praised its driving dynamics, noting that it delivered one of the purest sports car experiences available at any price point. But Lotus couldn't escape the reliability reputation that ultimately killed the car's commercial prospects. The performance credentials were genuinely impressive when everything functioned properly. The V8 could accelerate from 0 to 60 faster than contemporary Ferraris and handled better than most established supercars, thanks to Lotus's unmatched expertise in chassis development and suspension tuning. Professional reviews consistently praised these capabilities, while simultaneously warning potential buyers about ownership nightmares that made every drive an adventure for all the wrong reasons. Early V8 models suffered from problems that systematically destroyed buyer confidence and created a reputation for unreliability that proved impossible to overcome. Electrical gremlins plagued even basic functions like lights and gauges. Turbocharger failures left owners stranded hundreds of miles from qualified service centers, and build quality issues made routine maintenance a constant source of frustration and unexpected expenses. One documented case study involved an owner who experienced 4 exhaust system replacements, multiple cooling fan failures, persistent radiator leaks, 3 air conditioning compressor replacements, and a complete gearbox rebuild within the first 2 years of ownership. This wasn't an isolated incident of bad luck. This represented the typical Esprit ownership experience that potential buyers learn to expect and avoid. Buyers paying Ferrari-level prices quite reasonably expected Ferrari-level refinement and reliability, not Lucas electrical systems and constant mechanical breakdowns that made ownership a part-time job. The stark contrast between the car's exceptional capabilities and its reliability problems created cognitive dissonance that potential buyers simply couldn't resolve in favor of purchasing the vehicle. Pricing strategy also backfired spectacularly in multiple markets. Lotus positioned the Esprit against established supercars from Ferrari and Lamborghini, but couldn't offer the prestige, dealer network quality, or ownership experience that traditionally justified premium pricing in the luxury performance segment. Service support was inconsistent across different regions, parts availability became a legitimate concern for potential buyers, and resale values reflected these ongoing reliability concerns. Production finally ended in 2004. After disappointing sales numbers across all global markets. The final production cars had actually solved most of the reliability issues that plagued earlier models, but by then the damage to the model's reputation was completely irreversible. Today, well-maintained Esprit V8 represent incredible performance value, offering 90% of Ferrari capability for 30% of the original price. But the commercial failure proved conclusively that exceptional engineering means nothing without execution quality that matches customer expectations. Our next cautionary tale demonstrates how being too rational and forward-thinking can actually kill a supercar's commercial prospects. The BMW i8 represented a revolutionary approach to high-performance vehicles, combining hybrid technology with supercar styling in ways that should have defined the future of the entire automotive industry. Instead, it flopped because the market wasn't ready for its vision, and BMW fundamentally misunderstood what supercar buyers actually wanted from their vehicles. The i8 was genuinely ahead of its time in almost every measurable way. Its carbon fiber construction, distinctive butterfly doors, and futuristic styling created a compelling vision of tomorrow's performance cars that looked like nothing else on the road. The sophisticated hybrid powertrain combined efficiency with performance in ways that seemed technically impossible just years earlier, proving that environmental responsibility and driving excitement could coexist in the same vehicle. But the execution revealed fundamental misunderstandings about the supercar market that doomed the car's commercial prospects from the beginning. The biggest problem was emotional appeal, or the complete lack thereof. The i8's 3-cylinder engine, despite electric motor assistance, could never deliver the sound, drama, and visceral excitement that performance car buyers traditionally demanded from their vehicles. The driving experience felt more like piloting an efficient Grand Tourer than commanding an emotional supercar. Performance numbers were certainly respectable but not exceptional compared to alternatives. While the i8 could accelerate quickly and handle competently, it couldn't match the raw excitement or performance capabilities of pure sports cars costing significantly less money. BMW's pricing strategy was confused and ultimately counterproductive across all markets. At over €130,000 in European markets, the i8 cost substantially more than established sports cars with superior performance. But it lacked the prestige, exclusivity, and emotional appeal necessary to justify premium pricing in the luxury performance segment. The hybrid system's electric range was too limited for practical daily use as an efficient vehicle, while the overall performance wasn't exciting enough to satisfy traditional sports car buyers. The i8 fell awkwardly between multiple market segments without properly satisfying any group's core requirements or expectations. Efficiency-focused buyers could find better hybrid options for less money, while performance enthusiasts could get more excitement elsewhere. The car's futuristic styling attracted attention but couldn't convert that interest into actual sales when buyers discovered the driving experience didn't match their expectations. BMW managed to sell over 20,000 units globally, which initially sounds like commercial success until you realize they'd projected much higher sales numbers and had invested enormous resources in developing the underlying technology platform. Production ended in 2020, after failing to meet internal sales expectations and market projections. While the i8 significantly influenced future BMW design language and proved that hybrid supercars were technically feasible, its commercial disappointment actually delayed industry-wide adoption of similar technologies by several years. Next comes a failure that perfectly demonstrates how brand perception can completely kill even exceptional products, regardless of their actual capabilities. The Peugeot RCZ-R delivered genuine sports car excellence that should have established the French manufacturer as a credible performance car company. But it flopped spectacularly because Peugeot couldn't convince anyone they were serious about creating exciting vehicles. The RCZ-R was genuinely exceptional by any objective measurement. Its chassis dynamics rivaled the very best hot hatches available, while its turbocharged engine delivered genuinely impressive performance that could embarrass much more expensive alternatives. Professional automotive reviewers consistently praised its precise handling, solid build quality, and distinctive styling that stood out in an increasingly homogeneous marketplace. The car should have established Peugeot as a legitimate sports car manufacturer and opened new market opportunities for the brand. Instead, it became a textbook example of how brand image can work completely against even the most capable products. Buyers shopping for performance cars simply didn't consider Peugeot as a serious option, regardless of what the actual product offered. This perception barrier proved absolutely impossible to overcome, no matter how good the RCZ-R actually was. The brand was firmly associated with practical family cars and historical reliability problems, not driving excitement or performance credibility. Potential buyers couldn't mentally reconcile Peugeot's mainstream image with the idea of owning a legitimate sports car, creating cognitive dissonance that killed sales before they could even start. Dealer network problems systematically plagued sales efforts across all European markets. Most Peugeot dealers had zero experience selling performance cars and couldn't properly present the RCZ-R's genuine capabilities to potential customers. Test drives were remarkably rare because salespeople didn't understand what made their car special or how to communicate its advantages over more established alternatives. Marketing support was practically non-existent across all markets. Peugeot failed to create adequate awareness of the RCZ-R's existence, let alone educate potential buyers about its exceptional capabilities. Without proper promotional support, the car remained invisible to most performance car buyers who never discovered that Peugeot had actually created something genuinely special. The final commercial nail came when Peugeot announced they would discontinue the entire RCZ model range. Just as the R variant was beginning to gain recognition among automotive enthusiasts, this decision completely destroyed any momentum the car might have built, and confirmed buyer suspicions that Peugeot wasn't genuinely serious about competing in the sports car market. Today, used RCZ-Rs represent incredible performance bargains, offering capabilities that match much more expensive cars for fractions of their original prices. But the commercial failure meant Peugeot completely abandoned the sports car market, proving that exceptional products need exceptional marketing and brand positioning to achieve commercial success. Finally, we have the most expensive lesson in artificial scarcity gone wrong, the Maserati MC12. This car completely dominated international racing competition but became a commercial catastrophe because Maserati forgot the fundamental principles of selling supercars to actual customers rather than just collectors. The MC12 was originally developed to homologate Maserati's return to competitive GT racing, based heavily on the Ferrari Enzo platform but with extensive modifications for both racing and road use. It should have been Maserati's triumphant flagship, demonstrating their return to performance credibility after years of producing badge-engineered vehicles that lacked genuine sporting character. Racing success was immediate and absolutely dramatic. MC12 Second won multiple international championships and completely restored Maserati's reputation as a legitimate racing manufacturer. The road car's performance was genuinely impressive, offering Enzo-level capabilities with unique Maserati character and styling that differentiated it from its Ferrari platform mate. But the commercial execution was absolutely disastrous from every conceivable angle. Maserati's decision to produce only 50 road cars created artificial scarcity without building genuine market demand or desire. The strategy assumed that extreme rarity alone would drive sales, ignoring the fact that successful supercars need both exclusivity and desirability to command premium pricing. The price was absolutely astronomical, costing significantly more than the Ferrari Enzo despite sharing the same basic platform and offering no clear performance or luxury advantages. This pricing strategy made no commercial sense and actively discouraged potential buyers who could get superior prestige and comparable performance elsewhere for less money. Dealer network problems systematically plagued the few sales efforts that were attempted. Most Maserati dealers had never sold cars costing nearly $700,000 and completely lacked the expertise, clientele, or facilities necessary for such exotic machinery. Customer support was woefully inadequate for owners paying genuine supercar prices, creating ownership experiences that didn't match the premium pricing. The MC12's styling proved polarizing in ways that actively hurt sales potential. While certainly dramatic and race-inspired, it was also awkward and ungainly compared to contemporary supercars. The racing-derived aerodynamics made it impractical for normal road use, with ground clearance and overall width that severely limited everyday usability. All 50 road cars eventually sold, but primarily to collectors and speculators, rather than driving enthusiasts who actually intended to use them. Today, MC12 Second are incredibly valuable on the collector market, but their original commercial failure contributed significantly to Maserati's continued struggles in the high-performance market segment. These catastrophic failures prove definitively that engineering excellence alone isn't enough for commercial success in the automotive industry. Whether it's terrible timing, perfect execution in the wrong market, or brilliant capabilities undermined by brand perception problems, each failure teaches valuable lessons about the complex relationship between great products and successful businesses. The pattern is absolutely clear. Success requires much more than great engineering, and understanding these historical failures helps predict which current models might follow similar paths to commercial disappointment.